man had just purchased a taxi license. The very next day, the license was confiscated by the transportation authorities. The reason was that someone had used the original vehicle associated with that license to drive under the influence and injure someone, but he hadn't even had a chance to drive it yet. How could he possibly have driven drunk and hit someone? He suspected there must be something wrong with the license. He immediately tracked down the seller to confront him. The seller was prepared. It turned out that Josh had bought a taxi license that had been involved in an accident. The person who had driven drunk and hit someone was the original owner. The brokerage firm, however, claimed they had no idea about the original owner's history. Only then did Josh realize he had fallen into a scam, but he hadn't yet realized this wasn't just an ordinary fraud ring. The contract contained an even more vicious trap. Josh went to the police. The officers scrutinized the contract repeatedly, but they couldn't find a single loophole. The contract was flawlessly drafted. There was absolutely nothing to fault. He went back to the brokerage that very night. He admitted defeat. He didn't plan to pursue the matter of the license plate, but the broker arrogantly said, "We're openly scamming you. What are you going to do about it?" Now Josh had only two options: either pay a huge bill for car repairs, or face a lawsuit from these people. As an ordinary taxi driver, he simply couldn't come up with that much money. He had no choice but to turn to his former boss, Matt. Matt ran a taxi company on the surface, but in reality, he specialized in helping people get revenge. Josh asked him for a loan. Matt said he'd get the money tomorrow, but upon further questioning, he realized Josh had been scammed. Matt immediately decided to step in and help him. They quickly figured out the scheme. The scammers specifically bought license plates from drivers involved in DUI accidents at rock-bottom prices. Before the license was officially revoked, they'd quickly resell it to someone in desperate need. At the same time, they'd sign a carefully crafted contract to set a trap. Afterward, they'd use various excuses to keep extorting the buyer. Although they were despicable, on the surface, they weren't breaking any laws. The law couldn't find a way to pin anything on them. Of course, Matt's revenge squad never took the conventional route. Before every operation, they would give the victim a coin, letting them decide for themselves whether to seek revenge. Josh chose revenge. The squad sprang into action immediately.